Hey guys, welcome to a new episode. Now, I never know if I want to say episode or a new video. Today it's an episode, but I am Stephanie West. I'm an LPC here in the state of Michigan. I work in West Michigan at Joe Martino Counseling. And one of the things I am very unapologetic about sharing is the fact that I have my own therapist, and sometimes, there are mentors and therapists in my story because I need a lot of coaching and I need a lot of, opportunities to process through things because I want to be the best version of myself, or at least a better version of myself. And so the little piece I'm going to bring you today, this little nugget, is something that a mentor had said to me that I found to be just profoundly helpful. And I use it with my clients, and it ends up being something that lands really well because we like concrete. We're not great with abstract all the time, but concrete measurements are pretty interesting. And so in my story, there are certain pain points that have come up along the way. And for me, one of them is when I feel criticized, especially in the work that I do. And the second one is with finances. Now, if you guys looked into your own stories, there's probably certain pain points that have come up in your story where you're just more sensitive. And so I want to use this particular verbiage because I found it particularly helpful. One of my mentors said to me, he said, Stephanie, there are times when someone says something and your brain reads it as an 8 when it's in fact a 5. And so what he's saying is sometimes because of my pain points, I hear something and it's so big to me, when the reality is it's probably a lot less important than what I perceive it to be. It's much more minor than what I perceive it to be. And I notice this with my clients again and again, where they will come in and they will be fired up and they will say, someone said A, B, and C to me. And we'll process through it and we'll talk about it, and I'll ask them, is it possible that they meant this? Is it possible that it's not nearly as catastrophic as you might be perceiving it to be? Because the thing is, our brains like simplicity. Our brains like to interpret things kind of in a knee-jerk way because we want to make sense of things. But it doesn't always do it with clarity. Sometimes it does it through our pain points. And so I know that my brain will interpret certain things at an 8 or a 7 when in fact they're a 4 or a 5. I don't know if you've ever watched The Office, but there's this episode where Jim is playing a prank on Andy and he hides his cell phone in the ceiling and then he starts to call it. And after a few times of Andy not being able to find his cell phone, he ends up punching the wall and he immediately stops and he says, "That was an overreaction." And every time I see that, I chuckle because I can internally hear myself saying that when I accelerate something and I make it an 8 and it's in fact just a 5, I can hear myself being like, that was an overreaction. And so the one thing I also walk with clients, because it's true that we can over-respond or overreact to things, we also have to learn the art of an apology. We have to learn the art of going back and saying, that was an overreaction and I would like to do it differently next time, and I apologize for whatever the outcome was or whatever the byproduct of our overreaction was. And so those are things where I just want to normalize that. We're humans. We have ebbs and flows. We have times where we're really locked in and we make healthy and good decisions. We have times where we overreact and we don't show up as our best selves, and that has to be okay. And sometimes our brains work against us and our pain points work against us, and we might not respond the best way that we intend to. And because that's true, we learn the art of an apology. But what I want to do is encourage you to think through, what are your pain points? Where might you, historically or in the present overreact? And can you use the verbiage to say, ooh, I treated that as an 8, that was only a 5. And find ways to de-escalate yourself into the understanding that maybe your brain's trying to protect you, but perhaps it's feeding you some faulty information. And perhaps you can calm yourself down just by understanding, okay, this is my pain point. My brain is over responding for me. I can kind of take a deep breath here and bring it down a few notches. So hopefully that's helpful. If you're out there overreacting, you're in good company, but hopefully this is helpful, and share, like, follow, whatever that looks like. Thanks so much.